Welcome. You are here, and that is enough. Tonight we set out on a quiet journey, one designed to help your body soften into rest while your thoughts wander into something wondrous and grounding. The subject may seem ordinary at first glance, yet it is as extraordinary as the cosmos or the oceans. We will be reflecting on skin, the living shield that surrounds you, protects you, and connects you to the world. Before we begin, I want to ease a gentle thought into your mind. Sleep does not need to be forced. It may come quickly, like a tide washing in, or slowly, like a stream winding its way across a valley. Both are natural, both are welcome. If your mind lingers awake, that is perfectly fine. The words and rhythms you hear are here to keep you company, whether you are drifting already or still resting on the shoreline of wakefulness. You cannot miss the purpose of this moment, because the purpose is simply to be here. If you find comfort in this kind of journey, you may wish to support it by liking and subscribing. It is a way of staying connected, ensuring that stories of science and wonder will return to meet you night after night, like trusted companions. But there is no urgency. This is your time, and it unfolds at its own pace. Now, let us turn to the surface that is not just surface at all, your skin. It is the quiet boundary that holds your inner world safe, while also linking you to everything beyond it. Without speaking, it is always in conversation with your environment. The warmth of sunlight, the coolness of wind, the sting of a thorn, the softness of a blanket. Skin is both shield and translator, a living interface between the self and the cosmos. Picture it not as a flat sheet, but as a living landscape. It is a coastline where the ocean of your inner self meets the air, the earth, and the touch of others. Every sensation you feel is a ripple along this coastline. It keeps invaders out, yet allows connection. It is as if you are wrapped in a protective garment woven by life itself, a garment that repairs, adapts, and evolves with you every moment of your existence. This garment has been shaped not only by your lifetime, but by countless generations before you. For billions of years, life sought ways to endure in harsher, shifting environments. The ancestors of skin were the delicate membranes of single-celled creatures floating in primordial seas. Those membranes were fragile and easily broken, but they held the spark of a pattern that would evolve into the rich, layered complexity of human skin. Over time, those thin boundaries became stronger, smarter, and more dynamic. They allowed creatures to leave water and step into the air, to withstand sun and wind, to protect fragile organs while still reaching outward into the environment. Every second, without your notice, your skin is at work. It blocks countless harmful substances, holds water inside you so you do not dry out, shields your nerves and blood vessels, and yet also allows sensation to travel inward. It is tireless. Even as you rest, it continues. There is a quiet paradox here. We often treat skin as something external, a surface to decorate, to judge, or to cover. Yet it is not separate from you. It is alive, nourished by blood, grown from within, renewed constantly. You are not inside your skin like a fruit within a peel. You are your skin, as much as you are your heart, your lungs, or your brain. Think of how vast this organ is. Spread flat, your skin would cover nearly 2 square meters, a soft and flexible shield larger than any cloak you could wear. It weighs more than any other organ in your body, a living fabric wrapped around you that bends and stretches, thickens and heals, responding to life with extraordinary precision. Perhaps tonight, as you listen, you can let yourself feel gratitude for this constant guardian. You have carried it from your very first moment in the world, when you drew your first breath and air met your skin for the first time. It has been with you through every season since, silently working, silently holding. As the words drift onward, you may notice your body softening. You may notice your skin itself relaxing, warmed by the blood beneath, calmed by the quiet of this moment. Whether sleep is close or still wandering its way toward you, know that you are enclosed in this shield, this silent companion that is always with you. And so our journey begins. Skin, the living shield, the coastline of the self. Together, we will walk gently along it, discovering its stories, its layers, and its quiet brilliance. Long before human skin existed, Before hands bore fingerprints or faces carried blush, life was simple and fragile. Picture a world billions of years ago, when the planet was covered mostly by water, seas shimmering beneath skies heavy with gas and storm. Within those oceans, the first living cells drifted, tiny bubbles of chemistry enclosed by delicate boundaries. Those boundaries were the earliest ancestors of skin. They were not made of keratin, nor layered with pigment, nor coursed through with nerves. They were thin membranes of fat molecules, floating films that separated inside from outside. Yet in that separation lay the first great secret of survival. Life cannot exist without a border. Within the cell, molecules could react, energy could be stored, and order could take shape. Without a barrier, the delicate dance of chemistry would be dissolved by the ocean around it. Those early membranes were the first living shields, fragile but decisive. Over time, evolution sculpted them into more complex, more resilient forms. As organisms grew larger, they needed more than a simple film. They required barriers that could bend, adapt, and heal. The earliest multicellular creatures wrapped themselves in layers of protective tissue. Some secreted slime or shells, others developed thicker skins of chitin or collagen. Step by step, life invented new ways of being enclosed, new ways of guarding the fragile machinery within. The transition from water to land was one of the greatest challenges life would face. To leave the sea was to risk drying out, to lose the constant cradle of moisture that early organisms depended upon. Skin became the solution. Amphibians carried moist, permeable skins, drinking in water through their surfaces. Reptiles, stepping further from the shore, evolved scales to seal in hydration and guard against the harsh sunday. Birds grew feathers, not only for flight and warmth but as modified skin structures adapted to new needs. Mammals, including our distant ancestors, clothed themselves in fur, using skin as a base for warmth and protection. Through each stage, skin was not static but inventive. It became armor for crocodiles, camouflage for cuttlefish, iridescent feathers for peacocks, and eventually it became the versatile, sensitive covering of humans, a balance between toughness and softness, strength and receptivity. Our own skin reflects this long history. It is tougher than amphibian skin, yet not sealed off like the scales of reptiles. It allows sweat to pass through, regulating heat. It allows sensation, connecting the inner nervous system with the outer world. It is a compromise shaped by millions of years of experiments, honed by survival. The skin you carry today is the result of unbroken lineage. Each ancestor who survived carried within them a form of protection, a version of skin that worked well enough to pass life onward. Those who did not protect themselves against sun, wind, and dryness left no descendants. You are here because your lineage is shield-held. Think of the diversity of forms skin has taken. The turtle's shell is hardened skin, fused into armor. The delicate wings of a bat are membranes stretched thin, still protective yet also tools for flight. Even the whiskers of a cat are modified skin structures, tuned to sense the slightest movement of air. Everywhere you look in the natural world, skin has been sculpted into endless shapes, endlessly creative, endlessly adaptive. Human skin may not shine with the colors of a butterfly or bear the quills of a porcupine, but it is just as extraordinary. It is versatile, capable of withstanding heat, cold, dryness, and moisture. It carries the memory of sunlight in its pigments, the history of touch in its nerves, and the resilience of survival in its layers. As you lie here now, your skin is both ancient and immediate. It is ancient in the sense that its form was shaped long before you, written into the story of evolution itself. And it is immediate because it belongs to you alone, wrapping you in the present moment, alive with sensation, alive with memory. Life has always required boundaries, but human skin is more than just a wall. It is a living frontier, the product of a history stretching back to the first flicker of life in the sea. It is both a personal inheritance and a cosmic one, linking you to all the creatures that have walked, swum, crawled, and flown before you. And so, as this journey unfolds, you may sense your own connection to that vast lineage. Your skin carries within it not just your story, but the story of life itself, the long tale of how the living shield came to be. If you were to pause and consider your skin, you might imagine it as a simple surface, like a single sheet stretched around the body. Yet beneath that surface lies an intricate architecture, a layered construction as deliberate as the walls of a cathedral or the stones of an ancient fortress. Skin is not one thing but many, woven together to create both resilience and sensitivity. The outermost layer, the epidermis, is the first to meet the world. It is thin, thinner than paper in some places, thicker on the soles of your feet, yet it holds immense power. It is composed of cells that are born deep within it and rise upward, flattening and hardening as they go, until they become the dead, keratin-filled scales that form a protective sheet. These cells may no longer be alive by the time they reach the surface, but they serve a purpose: to shield, to block, to form a barrier against water loss and harm. Constantly, these cells are shed, replaced by new ones pushing up from below. In this way, the epidermis is always young, always renewing, even as it appears still and quiet. Beneath the epidermis lies the dermis, thicker, richer, alive with activity. This is the skin's living engine room. Here run the blood vessels that carry warmth and nourishment, the nerves that collect sensations, the collagen and elastin fibers that lend the skin both strength and flexibility. If the epidermis is the castle wall, then the dermis is the bustling courtyard behind it, full of workers and energy. Hair follicles begin here, as do sweat glands and oil glands, each with its task of maintaining balance. The dermis is what gives skin its resilience, its ability to stretch without tearing, to bend and return, to carry the marks of expressions and the softness of touch. And deeper still lies the hypodermis, sometimes called the subcutaneous layer. Here, fat cells form cushions, protecting muscles and bones from sudden blows. This layer insulates, holding warmth within during the cold, releasing it during the heat. It is a quiet layer, less noticed, but without it the body would be far more vulnerable. It is the foundation upon which the other layers rest, anchoring the living shield to the structures beneath. Together, these three layers form a system far greater than any one of them alone. They are like the levels of a living fortress, the outer wall, the inner courtyards, the deep foundations. Each has its role, each contributes to the whole. And though we rarely think of them separately, they are constantly at work, side by side, moment by moment, keeping us whole. Consider, for a moment, how this structure works in harmony. A small cut on the surface may seem like nothing, just a break in the epidermis. Yet instantly, the dermis leaps to respond, sending blood, clotting factors, and immune cells to seal the breach. The hypodermis provides the resources of energy and support. Within days, the wound closes, a reminder of how swiftly and seamlessly these layers act as one. The design is elegant, yet it is not rigid. Each layer changes with age, with health, with environment. A child's dermis is filled with supple collagen, a network so elastic it seems to bounce back from any expression. In time, those fibers thin and weaken, allowing lines to form, traces of life's passage. The hypodermis, too, shifts, its fat stores redistributing, altering the contour of the body as decades pass. Even the epidermis renews more slowly in later years, its cycle of regeneration lengthening. The fortress remains, but its stones carry the marks of time. As you rest here, listening, you might notice your own skin in a new way. Perhaps the softness of fabric against your arm, the gentle warmth of air on your cheek. Beneath those sensations lie these hidden layers, each contributing silently, each alive with purpose. You do not need to direct them. They require no conscious effort. The layers of your skin simply do their work, as they have done every day of your life, as they will continue to do tonight, while you rest. Your body is not only enclosed by these layers, it is supported by them. They hold you intact, they translate the outer world into feeling, and they shield the inner world from harm. To know that you are layered in this way, to realize that you are wrapped in this living fortress, can itself be a comfort. You are enclosed, not in stone or steel, but in something warmer, something living. You are not separate from your skin. You are your skin, in all its depth, in all its layers. And so, as this part of the journey settles, you may feel yourself soften too. Just as the skin contains many layers working together, you too hold many layers of thought and feeling, all converging here in this quiet moment of stillness. When sunlight falls upon the earth, it brings both life and risk. It nourishes plants, warms oceans, and marks the rhythm of days and seasons. Yet woven into its light are invisible rays, ultraviolet wavelengths, that can damage the very molecules of life. To survive under this light, creatures needed protection. In humans, that protection is written into the color of the skin. The shade of your skin is shaped by melanin, a pigment produced in tiny factories within cells called melanocytes. These cells dwell in the lower levels of the epidermis, sending delicate tentacles upward that deliver pigment into the surrounding cells. The result is a mosaic of color, subtle or deep, creating the tone you see in the mirror. Melanin does more than tint the surface. It absorbs harmful radiation, transforming dangerous energy into harmless warmth. It is a shield woven of chemistry and time. But the story of skin color is not only biology, it is history. As human ancestors spread across the globe, they encountered environments with different amounts of sunlight. Near the equator, where the sun is strongest, darker tones offered vital protection, reducing the risk of DNA damage and shielding against cancers and harmful mutations. In regions farther from the equator, where light was weaker and winters long, lighter skin tones gradually emerged. Here, the body needed to let more sunlight in so that it could produce vitamin D, crucial for strong bones and healthy development. This delicate balance between protection and absorption shaped the spectrum of human skin. It was not a matter of beauty or status, but of survival. Our ancestors carried their shields with them, adapting slowly to the light that bathed their homelands. Over tens of thousands of years, skin color became a living map of humanity's journey across continents and climates. Every shade tells a story. The deep tones of equatorial peoples, the golden hues of desert dwellers, the pale skins of northern latitudes, all are adaptations to the same sun, expressions of the same living shield. Within families, variations appear too, each person carrying their own balance of pigment. No two skins are alike, yet all belong to the same continuum, born of the same need for balance between sun and survival. Think for a moment about melanin itself. It is not a single pigment, but a family. Eumelanin gives darker browns and blacks, while pheomelanin carries reds and yellows. In each person, these blend in unique proportions, creating an endless palette. Even freckles, those tiny bursts of concentrated pigment, are reminders of how dynamic melanin can be, gathering in patterns where sunlight strikes most often. The science is fascinating, but there is also something poetic in this. The sun, which might have been only a threat, instead shaped beauty and diversity. Its rays, filtered through melanin, painted humanity with countless tones. Every variation is a record of adaptation, proof that life can turn challenge into art. And yet, in modern times, this protective system faces new pressures. People travel across latitudes in days, not generations. Skin that evolved under northern skies may now live beneath tropical suns, or skin adapted for equatorial light may spend most of its time indoors. The ancient balance is disrupted, leaving the shield to cope with environments it was not designed for. Sunburn, vitamin D deficiency, and skin cancers are reminders that adaptation is ongoing, unfinished. Our shield still works, but it is tested in ways evolution never anticipated. Despite these challenges, the deeper truth remains. Color is protection. It is biology's answer to light, a centuries-long negotiation between danger and necessity. Every shade is functional, every tone the result of countless ancestors surviving under the sunday. Perhaps, as you lie here now, you might see your own skin differently. It is not only a surface to be judged or compared, it is a record, a living archive of your lineage and its journey through time. The color you carry is a shield gifted by the past, tuned to the environment that shaped your ancestors. There is comfort in this realization. Whatever your tone, light or dark, it is not random, it is purposeful, it is protective. It is history written into biology, a reminder that your body has been preparing for life under the sun for millions of years. And so, as the night deepens around you, you can rest knowing that, even as you sleep, this pigment shield remains. Quiet, unthinking, tireless, it continues to filter light, to preserve, to adapt. Your color, your protection, your story, all are carried within this living shield. If you look closely at your hands, you will see patterns carved into the skin, loops, halls, arches, and ridges. These patterns are not decoration but function, written into you before you were born. They are fingerprints, and they are part of the texture of survival. No two people, not even identical twins, share the same pattern. Each fingerprint is unique, an identity shaped by both genetics and the random forces of growth in the womb. Yet beyond individuality, they serve a simple, vital purpose. They help you hold on. The ridges of fingerprints increase friction, allowing you to grip surfaces, to hold tools, to climb, to catch, to create. Even in a world before pens and hammers, before ropes and wheels, these tiny ridges gave our ancestors an advantage. They allowed fruit to be grasped, branches to be held, and stones to be shaped. They are part of the reason humanity's hands became instruments of survival and creation. But fingerprints are not the only textures etched into skin. Across the body, skin responds to use and environment, where friction repeats itself, on the heels of the feet, the palms of the hands, the strings of a musician's fingers, skin thickens, forming calluses. These are the body's natural armor, growing stronger where pressure demands it. A barefoot child running across rough ground, a worker gripping tools, an athlete pressing against surfaces, all develop calluses that are as much a response to environment as muscle itself. Skin remembers its encounters and adjusts, shaping itself to endure. Wrinkles, too, are part of skin's texture, though their origins differ. Some are temporary, like the gentle folds that appear when fingers soak in water. These prune-like textures are thought to improve grip in wet conditions, an evolutionary adaptation for handling objects in streams or rain. Others are permanent, formed by the slow passage of time as collagen and elastin fibers beneath the surface relax. The lines of the face, around eyes, along the mouth, record years of expressions. Laughter, worry, wonder, and thought all leave their subtle traces, until skin carries a map of experience, a record of life lived. The surface is never static. Even scars become part of its texture, raised or sunken reminders of wounds and healing. They tell stories of accidents, survival, or transformation, etched permanently into the body's shield. Every line, every mark, is evidence of adaptation. Think of how varied textures are across the body. The lips, soft and delicate, designed for sensitivity. The soles of the feet, thick and resilient, designed to meet the ground. The eyelids, thin and mobile, quick to close in defense. Each region is tuned to its role, its thickness, its elasticity, its resilience calibrated to the needs of that part of the body. Your skin is not uniform, but a landscape of textures, each serving a purpose. Even culture has responded to this variety. We decorate and interpret the surface of skin, tracing tattoos into it, painting it, softening it with oils, protecting it with coverings. Yet underneath, its own adaptations continue, unaffected by fashion, guided by biology. There is something humbling in knowing that what you feel on your fingertips as you touch a page, a glass, or another hand, is the result of patterns that began long before you were aware of them. They are part of you, unique and unrepeatable, yet also functional. The ridges of your fingerprints, the folds of your palm, the lines on your face, all are part of the skin's long story of survival. As you rest tonight, you might notice the subtle textures of your own skin, the soft brush of fabric, the smoothness of one hand against the other, the coolness of air along the cheek. Beneath those sensations lies an entire record of adaptation, written not in words but in ridges, folds, and layers. Your skin has always been changing, responding, learning from the world. It carries both your uniqueness and your history. It has been shaped by use, by environment, by time. It is the surface of survival, endlessly renewed, endlessly individual. Night is the skin's most faithful companion. While you rest, while the world grows quiet, your skin enters its busiest hours. What appears outwardly as stillness is, in truth, a time of hidden work, a restoration that renews the living shield. During the day, skin is exposed to constant stress. Sunlight strikes it with invisible rays. Particles from the air cling to it. The friction of movement wears it down. Every gesture, every moment in the world, places small demands upon it. And yet, when darkness falls and the body lies still, the skin begins its repairs. Blood flow increases, carrying oxygen and nutrients to the dermis and epidermis. Growth hormones rise, stimulating the production of new collagen, the protein scaffolding that keeps the skin firm and resilient. Microscopic wounds are closed, DNA damage from ultraviolet light is mended, and moisture balance is restored. You may have noticed how mornings can bring a softness to the skin, a brightness that follows restful nights. This is no illusion. It is the visible sign of nocturnal labor, the body's quiet craftsmanship. Even without your awareness, the shield is repaired, polished, and prepared to meet the world again. When sleep falters, this rhythm is disrupted. Nights spent restless can leave the skin dulled, shadows deepening beneath the eyes, the surface less luminous. It is not vanity but biology. Without the calm of sleep, the skin loses precious time for restoration. Yet even partial rest is not wasted. The body makes use of whatever moments it has, weaving repair into them, however brief. Imagine your skin as a workshop lit softly in the dark. Cells move like workers, each with their tasks. Some are clearing away the debris of the day, sweeping fragments of damaged proteins aside. Others are stitching new fibers, weaving collagen into strength. Still others are regulating water, ensuring the surface remains supple. It is a symphony of tasks, carried out silently, without the need for command. Moisture is central to this nightly work. As you sleep, the skin loses water more freely, a process called transepidermal water loss. Though this might sound negative, it allows the skin to become more permeable, more ready to absorb and renew. It is during these hours that lotions and treatments are most effective, not because they change the skin's nature, but because they meet it in its moment of openness. Even the temperature of your body plays a role. As your core cools during sleep, blood vessels in the skin adjust, helping to regulate warmth and encourage circulation. This cycle not only aids the skin's repair but also supports the entire rhythm of sleep itself. The skin and the rest of the body are in dialogue, each helping the other, each tuned to the clockwork of night. This connection between sleep and repair carries deep reassurance. For even if your mind wanders awake, even if rest does not come quickly, the processes still begin. The shield does not wait for perfect slumber to begin its work. The increase in circulation, the activation of repair, the quiet choreography of cells, these unfold as long as you allow yourself to rest in stillness. There is comfort in knowing that healing does not demand your attention. Your skin knows how to mend, how to rebuild. It is written into its nature. You are not required to oversee it, to guide it, or to measure its progress. All you need to do is be here, in this moment, breathing, allowing your body to sink deeper into quiet. And so, tonight, as you drift or simply listen, you may let go of the thought of doing. Your skin is already doing enough. It is tending to you, caring for you, silently reweaving its shield. Whether you are fully asleep or only half dreaming, your living surface is carrying out its nightly rhythm of renewal. The skin does not only protect, it speaks. It is the body's messenger, translating the outside world into a language the nervous system can understand. Every brush, every sting, every change in temperature is first felt at the surface and then carried inward as information. Think of a cool breeze crossing your arm. The sensation is not just air moving past you. Tiny receptors in the skin detect the shift, convert it into an electrical signal, and send it racing along nerves to the spinal cord and brain. Within fractions of a second, you know what is happening. You may adjust your posture, seek warmth, or simply enjoy the freshness. Without this communication, you would be unmoored, disconnected from the world around you. Touch is the most familiar of these messages. The skin can distinguish the gentlest stroke from the firmest pressure, a grain of sand from the edge of a stone. Different receptors specialize in different signals, some tuned to vibration, others to stretch, still others to sharp impact. Each type of receptor is like a specialist reporter, filing its own dispatch to the brain. Together, they create a detailed map of your surroundings, drawn across the canvas of your skin. Pain, too, is a message. Though unwelcome, it is vital. When the skin detects harm, a cut, a burn, an abrasion, it sends a signal that is impossible to ignore. Pain is the body's alarm system, a stern voice insisting that you withdraw, that you protect, that you heal. Without it, damage could spread unnoticed, and survival would be at risk. Pain is not cruelty but care, a harsh but necessary form of communication. Temperature is another channel of this conversation. Thermoreceptors in the skin monitor heat and cold, signaling when to seek shade or warmth. The sudden shock of cold water, the comfort of sun on the back, the relief of shade, all are carried into awareness by this system. The skin is not passive in these encounters. It is constantly measuring, constantly informing, always vigilant. These signals reach beyond survival into emotion. A soft touch can calm, a sudden jab can startle. The skin does not only record the physical, it colors the emotional too. A child's hand held gently by a parent, a reassuring pat on the shoulder, the embrace of someone trusted. These are more than sensations. They are messages of safety, belonging, and care, conveyed through the language of the skin. In this way, the skin is not only the boundary of the body, but also the boundary of experience. It decides what enters awareness, what must be avoided, and what can be welcomed. It is as though the world writes upon you constantly, and the skin is both paper and pen, recording and transmitting, never ceasing its flow of information. Even now, as you sit or lie in quiet, your skin is active, sending countless signals you may not notice. The pressure where your body meets the surface beneath you, the temperature of the air against your face, the subtle movement of clothing across your shoulders. Each is reported, most are dismissed as unimportant, but all are faithfully delivered. The skin, then, is a messenger not of words but of feelings, not of concepts but of immediacy. It is always telling the story of where you are, how the world touches you, and how you might respond. It does this tirelessly, without pause, from your first breath to your last. It is the first language you ever learned, the silent language of touch, written directly into the nervous system. Beneath the surface of the skin lies a vast network of sensors, a living web of endings and receptors tuned to different signals. It is here that the world becomes information, where pressure turns into touch, warmth into comfort, injury into warning. Each receptor is a specialist, designed by evolution to listen to one particular part of reality, and together they form one of the most sophisticated sensory systems known. Some of these receptors are mechanoreceptors, tuned to detect pressure, stretch, and vibration. They are scattered across the skin in different densities, concentrated most in the fingertips and lips, where sensitivity is greatest. When you run your hand across a textured surface, these receptors fire in patterns, each one responding to the ridges and grooves beneath your fingers. The brain interprets this orchestra of signals into a single sensation: smoothness, roughness, softness, or hardness. Without these tiny sensors, you would not be able to read Braille with your fingertips, or know whether a fabric was silk or wool, or feel the reassuring grip of a hand. Other receptors are thermoreceptors, tuned not to pressure but to temperature. Some respond only to heat, others only to cold. They are the reason you can tell the difference between cool metal and warm wood, even when both objects are the same actual temperature. The skin perceives not only absolute heat or cold, but also changes, whether something is warming or cooling, whether the environment is becoming safer or riskier. These signals are vital, guiding you to shelter when the air chills, or prompting you to seek shade when the sun grows harsh. Then there are nociceptors, the detectors of pain. They are the sentinels, always alert for extremes, pressure that could tear tissue, heat that could burn, cold that could freeze. Their messages are urgent, carried along fast neural pathways, impossible to ignore. Though unpleasant, they are protectors, ensuring that harm is not prolonged. Pain, in its rawness, is the body's way of demanding immediate attention. All these receptors are connected to an intricate network of nerve fibers, branching like rivers beneath the skin. Some of these fibers carry signals rapidly, allowing you to pull your hand from a hot surface almost before you are aware of the pain. Others move more slowly, creating dull, lingering sensations, reminders that healing is still needed. It is a layered language, sharp and immediate warnings, followed by quieter but persistent messages that encourage caution and care. What is remarkable is the scale of this system. Billions of nerve endings rest within your skin, each no larger than a thread, yet together, covering every part of your body. They do not all fire at once, but when they do, they send a stream of signals so rich that the brain can build a detailed picture of the world without ever opening its eyes. The skin is not merely a surface, it is a sensor array, as advanced as any technology we might imagine, already perfected by life. This network also adapts. Receptors can become more sensitive after injury, attuned to warn at the slightest touch. They can also become less responsive with repeated stimulation, tuning out sensations that no longer need attention. It is a system that not only detects but learns, adjusting itself to circumstances, balancing protection with experience. Consider for a moment how seamlessly this all happens. You do not have to think about distinguishing warmth from cold, or the smoothness of one stone from another. The receptors do their work instantly, faithfully, translating the outside world into an inner language of sensation. You move through life guided by their quiet signals, rarely noticing them unless they are absent. The skin, through these nerves, is both map and messenger. It charts the boundaries of the body, telling you where you end and the world begins. It reminds you that you are part of your environment, that every breeze, every surface, every temperature shift is felt and known. It does this endlessly, tirelessly, carrying the story of your surroundings inward, so that you may respond, survive, and thrive. Touch is the first sense to awaken in life, and the last to fade. Long before a newborn can see clearly or understand words, it feels the warmth of skin against skin. That first contact, the brush of a mother's hand, the press of a father's chest, the gentle swaddling of cloth, tells the infant it is safe, it belongs, it is cared for. In this way, the skin is not just a boundary but a bridge. It connects one life to another, transmitting comfort in ways that language cannot. Throughout life, touch remains a primary form of communication. A handshake at a meeting conveys openness or caution. An embrace between friends carries reassurance more powerful than words. The squeeze of a hand at a hospital bedside speaks of presence and solidarity. Each of these moments is mediated by the skin. Nerves within it detect pressure, warmth, texture, but the meaning travels beyond sensation. The brain responds by releasing oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone, lowering stress and easing fear. Through this cascade, a simple touch calms the heart, relaxes the body, and deepens trust. It is no coincidence that cultures across the world use touch in rituals of greeting, blessing, or farewell. A kiss on the cheek, a pat on the back, a bow accompanied by contact, all acknowledge connection. Touch transforms the abstract idea of relationship into something felt directly, tangibly. It is the skin's unique gift to allow connection without words. Science confirms what we know instinctively. Infants who are not held enough, even if they are fed and clothed, often fail to thrive. Patients who receive supportive touch from caregivers recover more steadily. Couples who hold hands during stressful moments show lower blood pressure and reduced anxiety. The skin is an organ of society as much as of biology. Without touch, isolation deepens. With it, bonds are strengthened. But touch is also nuanced. Not every contact is welcome, and the skin helps draw those boundaries too. A sudden, unwanted touch sparks discomfort, even alarm, while a trusted caress soothes. In this way, skin enforces the balance between closeness and distance. It teaches us about consent, trust, and safety. The very same receptors that carry messages of comfort can also warn us of intrusion. The skin knows the difference, and the body responds accordingly. Consider how subtle this communication can be. The difference between a hurried tap on the shoulder and a lingering hand conveys intention. The difference between a firm handshake and a limp one alters perception instantly. All of this takes place at the level of skin, through pressure, warmth, and duration. It is an entire language, spoken without words, but understood universally. Even in solitude, we seek touch. A blanket pulled close, a pet resting in our lap, the simple act of rubbing tired eyes, these gestures calm us. The skin responds with signals that ease stress, reminding us that contact, whether from others or from our own actions, is grounding. It is as though the skin is wired to crave connection, to anchor us in a world that can feel uncertain. As technology advances, we often replace face-to-face communication with screens and voices. Yet the absence of touch leaves something missing. A message may comfort, a voice may reassure, but the warmth of a hand cannot be replicated by light or sound. The skin reminds us of our embodied nature, that we are not minds alone, but beings wrapped in sensation, needing connection to feel whole. In every culture, in every life, the social language of skin is present. It is universal, transcending geography and history. It is there in the clasp of hands, the press of a cheek, the playful shove, the gentle embrace. Through the living shield, we are bound to one another. Emotions do not remain hidden inside the mind. They write themselves across the body, and most visibly, across the skin. It is as though the living shield doubles as a canvas, revealing inner states through changes we cannot always control. The skin blushes, pales, prickles, and sweats. It signals our feelings before we speak, broadcasting them to others in a language older than words. Consider the blush. A surge of embarrassment, surprise, or affection sends blood rushing toward the surface of the face. Capillaries widen, and the skin blooms with warmth and color. Unlike many responses, blushing cannot be hidden or commanded. It is automatic, a declaration of emotion made by the body itself. Across cultures, blushing has been read as a sign of honesty, vulnerability, even attraction. It is a form of truth-telling the skin delivers whether we wish it to or not. At the opposite end, fear or shock can drain the skin of color. Blood vessels constrict, pulling resources inward to protect vital organs. The skin pales, a silent sign that the body is preparing for defense or escape. This too is beyond conscious control, an evolutionary reflex signaling to those around us that danger is felt. Then there are goosebumps, those tiny bumps that rise when small muscles at the base of each hair contract. Once, in our furrier ancestors, this reflex would have fluffed hair into insulation against cold or made the body appear larger in the face of threats. In humans, with far less body hair, the effect is subtler but still telling. Goosebumps can arrive with a chill wind, but also with awe, inspiration, or the sound of moving music. The skin, it seems, can shiver in response not only to temperature but also to beauty and wonder. Sweat is another channel of emotion. Beyond its role in cooling the body, sweat is influenced by nerves linked to stress and arousal. A nervous presentation, an anxious wait, a moment of fear, all can bead the forehead, moisten the palms, dampen the back. These signals are noticed by others, not only visually but chemically. Sweat contains compounds that carry faint scents of emotion, influencing how others feel, even if they are unaware of it. In this way, the skin participates in social communication at a level below words, below conscious awareness. Together, these reactions make the skin a mirror of the inner world. They remind us that emotions are not only thoughts or moods, but physical states, deeply embodied. The mind and skin share a close lineage, both develop from the same embryonic tissue, and both remain in dialogue throughout life. When the mind stirs, the skin responds. When the skin is touched or wounded, the mind reacts. It is a conversation without pause. This link between feeling and surface is universal, though it manifests differently in each person. Some blush easily, some rarely. Some sweat profusely under stress, others barely at all. Each body writes its emotional script in its own style, yet the principle is the same. The skin reveals what lies within. There is something humbling in this transparency. No matter how carefully one chooses words, the skin may speak first, betraying nervousness with a flush, or signaling attraction with warmth. These cues shape human interaction, guiding trust, empathy, and connection. We read one another not only through eyes and voices, but through the silent signals of the skin. The living shield, then, is not only protector and censor, but also storyteller. It tells of danger, of joy, of vulnerability, of awe. It bridges the hidden and the visible, ensuring that emotions are not confined to thought but shared in the light of day. The skin and the brain are companions from the very beginning. In the earliest stages of development, when the human body is still only a cluster of dividing cells, both the nervous system and the skin arise from the same layer of tissue, the ectoderm. They are siblings, born together, and though they later take different forms, they remain in constant conversation throughout life. This shared origin explains why the mind and skin are so tightly bound. Emotions ripple through the surface, but the connection runs deeper than blushing or sweating. Stress can worsen conditions such as eczema, psoriasis, or acne. Anxiety may bring itching or rashes. Prolonged worry can thin the skin's protective barrier, leaving it more vulnerable to irritants. These are not coincidences but direct consequences of the skin-brain dialogue. When the mind perceives stress, the body releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These chemicals prepare muscles for action, sharpen alertness, and increase heart rate. Yet they also influence the skin. Cortisol weakens collagen and slows the repair of wounds. Adrenaline alters circulation, sometimes making the skin flush, other times leaving it pale and cold. The immune system shifts into different modes, which can worsen inflammation on the surface. In this way, the skin records not only the events of the outside world but also the storms of the inner one. The dialogue is not one-directional. The skin also speaks back to the brain. Touch, warmth, or irritation sends signals that shape mood and thought. A soothing massage can calm anxiety, while persistent itching can disturb sleep and darken mood. The brain reads the skin's messages constantly, adjusting emotions in response. What begins as a surface sensation becomes an inner state. Consider, too, the role of chronic conditions. People who live with visible skin changes often face social stress, worry about appearance, fear of judgment, the pain of being misunderstood. These feelings can amplify the very conditions that cause them, creating cycles of distress. Science recognizes this as the skin-mind loop, a feedback system where mental and physical states entwine. Healing requires not only treating the surface but also supporting the inner world of thought and feeling. On the other side, positive states nourish the skin. Calmness supports circulation, reducing tension in the blood vessels. Joy and laughter can lower stress hormones, indirectly strengthening the skin's defenses. A life rich in supportive touch, healthy connection, and peace of mind creates conditions in which the living shield thrives. The skin, in turn, reflects this harmony, appearing clearer, more resilient, more luminous. What makes this relationship remarkable is how subtle it can be. The stress of a single day may lead to a small flare, a faint redness, a delayed healing of a scratch. Weeks of strain can deepen these effects, while periods of rest and care allow visible recovery. The skin listens closely to the mind's rhythms, translating them into signs that can be read upon the surface. Perhaps this is why caring for the skin is never only cosmetic. It is an act that reaches into the mind as well. Washing the face, applying soothing oils, covering the body with protective fabric, all these gestures are as much rituals of comfort as they are of maintenance. The nerves in the skin carry signals inward, telling the brain that safety, care, and attention are present. What begins as care for the surface becomes nourishment for the self. The skin-brain dialogue is, in truth, a lifelong conversation. It does not pause, does not rest. Every thought has the potential to ripple across the shield, every sensation the power to influence the mind. They are partners, bound since the first days of life, forever sharing their signals, forever shaping one another. When the world grows quiet and night settles in, the skin continues its work as messenger and protector. Yet in these hours, one of its most profound roles comes into focus, its ability to soothe through touch. Long before words existed, long before language shaped thought, it was touch that calmed fear and signaled safety. That ancient truth still lingers in the body today. A blanket drawn lightly across the skin, the weight of it pressing gently, tells the nervous system that it can let go. The receptors just beneath the surface respond not only to pressure but to rhythm and warmth. This is why the embrace of fabric, or the nearness of another person, can quiet racing thoughts. The skin carries the message inward. You are held, you are safe, you may rest. Science has shown how powerful this is. Gentle touch releases oxytocin, slows the heart rate, and lowers levels of stress hormones. Babies held skin to skin with their parents regulate their breathing more easily, sleep more deeply, and grow more steadily. Adults too respond, whether in the comfort of a hand held during a difficult moment or the relaxation that comes from the warmth of a partner nearby. The skin translates contact into calm, and the brain listens closely. Even the act of covering oneself with a blanket, when alone, carries echoes of this. Weighted blankets, in particular, are known to ease anxiety by mimicking the pressure of a steady embrace. The receptors in the skin read the sensation as presence, even when it is only fabric, and the mind answers with relaxation. The body cannot always tell the difference. It responds with the same sense of security. Touch at night is not always external. The warmth of your own hands folded against your body, the brush of your cheek against a pillow, the rise and fall of your chest as fabric shifts with each breath, all these sensations contribute to a quieting rhythm. They are reminders that you are here, present, alive, wrapped in the continuity of your own skin. What is striking is that the same receptors that detect threat in the daytime, the sharpness of a thorn, the sting of heat, are also the ones that carry comfort when the signals are gentle. It is the intensity and the context that shift meaning. A sudden jab wakes alertness, but a slow, steady contact invites calm. The skin is versatile in this way, tuned not only for defense but also for reassurance. As you rest, the skin does not simply fade into silence. It guides the body inward, into rhythms of peace. It marks the edges of the self, telling the brain that you are whole, intact, and guarded. And when touch enters, whether from another person, or from the weight of blankets, or from your own movements, it whispers that the boundary is cared for, that safety surrounds you. If sleep has not yet arrived, know that this too is part of the process. The skin is already helping, already feeding signals of calm into the nervous system. The body cannot help but respond to touch, whether real or remembered. The very thought of comfort can soften tension, for the mind and skin are in dialogue, and imagination itself can stir the same pathways as sensation. So in these quiet hours, let the living shield remind you, you are enclosed, you are safe, and you are cared for. The skin is not only armor but embrace, not only a frontier but a source of peace. And through its gentle work, rest is always being prepared for you, even before you drift fully into it. At first glance, skin may appear fragile. A paper cut, a scrape, a bruise, these seem to reveal how easily the surface can be disturbed. Yet this impression is misleading, for beneath its softness lies a remarkable toughness, a strength not built of stone or steel, but of living cells. The skin is armor of a very different kind, flexible, renewing, and always adapting. This strength comes largely from keratin, the protein that fills the outermost cells of the epidermis. Keratin is the same substance that forms claws, feathers, and horns in other creatures. In humans, it is packed into flattened cells at the surface, creating a barrier that resists friction, water, and many forms of physical stress. Though each cell is microscopic, together they form a continuous sheet that endures constant contact with the world. Millions of these cells are lost daily, yet the shield never thins, because new ones rise steadily from below to replace them. In places where the world presses harder, on the soles of the feet, the palms of the hands, the skin answers by thickening. Calluses are not flaws but reinforcements, grown where the shield anticipates repeated stress. They are living adjustments, custom-made to fit the demands of daily life. A guitarist's fingertips, hardened by strings, a runner's feet, strengthened by ground, a worker's hands, made resilient by tools, all are examples of the armor reshaping itself in response to use. This resilience is not rigid. Unlike metal or stone, which may crack under sudden force, skin bends, stretches, and recovers. It can absorb impact by distributing it, cushioning what lies beneath. A blow that might shatter bone if delivered directly is softened by the layered structure of the skin and its underlying tissues. Even when broken, it heals. Few forms of armor can claim that. The surface also resists water in a way that is subtle but crucial. Without its outer barrier, every shower, every swim, every rainstorm would swell and weaken the tissues below. Instead, the keratinized layer repels excess moisture, holding the balance steady. At the same time, it keeps precious water within, preventing the body from drying out. This dual capacity, to lock water in while keeping too much out, is one of the marvels of biological engineering. It is worth remembering, too, that this shield has evolved not for luxury but for survival. In early human history, skin had to withstand rough ground, harsh weather, biting insects, and sharp branches. Even now, when shoes, clothing, and shelters carry much of the burden, the skin remains prepared for a harsher world. It is not a relic of the past, but a continuing guardian. Think of how different animals carry their versions of this armor. The shell of a tortoise, the hide of an elephant, the scales of a crocodile, all are variations on the same principle, to protect the vulnerable interior. Human skin, though less visibly dramatic, achieves a similar goal through subtler means. It is lighter, more flexible, allowing for movement, sensation, and communication, while still shielding effectively. Our version of armor is one that balances protection with versatility. The very fact that you can move freely, bend, stretch, and touch the world without splitting your covering is testament to this balance. Armor, in most forms, restricts. Skin, in contrast, allows. It guards without imprisoning, shields without numbing, and repairs itself when damaged. And so, though it may seem delicate at times, the skin is far from weak. It is a living armor, endlessly renewed, tuned to meet both sudden impacts and long-term wear. It is not armor of rigidity, but of resilience, an armor that bends, heals, and endures. Every barrier invites challenge. The moment a surface exists, something will try to cross it. For the skin, that challenge comes not only from physical forces like friction and heat, but also from the countless microorganisms that inhabit the world. Bacteria, fungi, and viruses surround us, and many are harmless, even helpful. Yet some seek to enter, to use the body as host and resource. Against them, the skin stands as the immune frontier, the first and most constant line of defense. This defense begins at the very surface. The skin is not smooth and sterile. It is slightly acidic, with a film of sweat and oil that discourages many microbes. This acid mantle creates an environment where harmful organisms struggle to thrive. What might seem like an invisible sheen of moisture is, in truth, a shield crafted from chemistry. Deeper within, the skin is home to cells that act as sentinels. Among them are Langerhans cells, positioned like watchmen in the epidermis. They patrol quietly, sampling the world, detecting foreign molecules, and alerting the immune system when threats appear. These cells do not fight directly. Instead, they are messengers, rushing news of invasion to deeper defenses so that the body can respond quickly. Other immune players are ready within the dermis: macrophages that engulf intruders, mast cells that release signals of alarm, lymphocytes that remember previous battles and prepare to fight again. Together they create an intricate network, one that responds with speed and precision. A single cut, too small to notice, can spark this defense into action. Blood rushes to the site, clotting factors seal the breach, and immune cells gather to fend off invaders. What appears outwardly as redness or swelling is, in truth, a battle unfolding in miniature. This system is so effective that most encounters never reach awareness. Every day, small microbes attempt to settle on the skin, and every day they are quietly resisted. Infections occur only when the defenses are overwhelmed or bypassed. For the most part, the immune frontier holds strong, tirelessly preventing harm before it can spread. The frontier is not only protective but also adaptive. The skin's immune cells learn from what they encounter. Once they have met a particular invader, they remember it, storing information that allows for faster and stronger responses in the future. The surface of the skin becomes, in this sense, an educational ground for the body's defenses, a place where memories of battles are written and stored. It is striking to consider how local this system is. Unlike the deeper immune organs, the spleen, the lymph nodes, the bone marrow, the skin fights at the edge, directly at the border between self and world. It is a place where conflict is constant, and yet balance is usually maintained. For while the skin must repel harm, it must also allow harmless organisms to remain. The microbiome that lives on the surface is not enemy but ally, teaching the immune system what is safe and what is not. This delicate balance keeps us well. Too little defense, and infection spreads. Too much defense, and the skin begins to attack itself, creating inflammation, rashes, or autoimmune disorders. Health lies in the middle ground, where the immune frontier responds with strength but also with wisdom. When you pause to notice your skin, you see a surface that seems quiet, still. Yet just beneath that calm lies constant vigilance. Cells are patrolling, signals are moving, tiny battles are being won. You are protected not only by the thickness of your skin, but by its living intelligence, its ability to distinguish friend from foe, to summon reinforcements, to heal after injury. The immune frontier of the skin is, in its own way, a living intelligence. It remembers, it responds, it learns. It has been doing so since the first creatures crawled onto land, shielding them from a new world filled with unfamiliar microbes. And it continues now, every moment of your life, standing watch upon the edge of the self. The body is warm, always generating heat through the quiet labor of muscles and metabolism. To survive, this warmth must be kept within a narrow range. Too cold, and chemistry slows to a crawl. Too hot, and proteins begin to falter. Skin manages this balance with a remarkable tool: sweat. Sweat may seem ordinary, even inconvenient, but it is one of the most sophisticated adaptations in nature. Through countless tiny glands scattered across the skin, water mixed with salts seeps to the surface. There, as the liquid evaporates, it carries heat away, cooling the blood that flows just beneath. This simple process allows the human body to endure conditions that would overwhelm many other animals. It is why we can run long distances in the sun, why our ancestors could hunt on hot savannas, while others retreated to shade. The composition of sweat tells its own story. It is mostly water, but within it are traces of sodium, chloride, potassium, and other minerals. These salts are not wasted. They help maintain electrical balance in the body, and their presence alters the way microbes grow on the surface. Sweat, in this sense, is not just cooling, it is protective. Its slightly acidic mix discourages harmful bacteria, while favoring those that live in balance with us. Sweat also carries signals. Though faint, it contains chemical cues that others can sometimes perceive unconsciously. Fear, for example, can alter the composition of sweat, releasing compounds that may subtly influence the mood of those nearby. Attraction can do the same, carrying invisible messages that bypass words. The skin, through sweat, participates in a hidden dialogue that threads through human interaction. Not all sweat is the same. The eccrine glands, which are spread across much of the body, produce the watery fluid that cools us. Apocrine glands, concentrated in places like the underarms, release thicker secretions that mix with skin bacteria, creating the sense we associate with exertion or stress. These variations show that sweating is not a single-purpose system but a layered one, tuned to different needs. Consider how finely balanced this process is. Too little sweating, and the body overheats, threatening organs and mind. Too much, and salts are lost faster than they can be replaced, leading to imbalance and weakness. Health lies in the rhythm between these extremes, in the body's ability to adjust output moment by moment. Sweat also connects us to the cycles of effort and rest. During exercise, it pours from the skin, carrying away the heat of labor. During calm, it slows, leaving the surface dry and cool. These rhythms are reminders that the body is constantly shifting between states, and the skin is always there, guiding balance with each bead of moisture. It is easy to see sweat as a nuisance, something to wipe away, conceal, or control. Yet without it, life would be far more fragile. In deserts, in jungles, under the relentless glare of the sun, it has been sweat that allowed humans to endure, to migrate, to survive. It is one of the quiet engines of our species' success. As you think of it now, perhaps you can imagine each droplet as a small guardian, rising to the surface to carry away excess heat, to guard against microbial intrusion, to signal and to balance. A bead of sweat is not simply water, it is a thread in the fabric of resilience. Your skin, in its quiet work, turns heat into breath, danger into balance, and exertion into endurance. Through sweat, it carries you forward, allowing life to thrive in places where without it, survival would falter. Where sweat provides cooling, oil provides preservation. Just beneath the surface of the skin lie countless tiny factories known as sebaceous glands. Each one opens into a hair follicle or directly onto the surface, releasing a substance called sebum. This oil is not waste, nor accident. It is one of the quiet protectors of the living shield. Sebum forms a thin film across the skin, mixing with sweat to create what is sometimes called the hydrolipid layer. To the eye, it is invisible. Yet this layer performs vital tasks. It slows the loss of water, preventing the body from drying out. It keeps the surface supple, allowing skin to bend, stretch, and move without cracking. It carries lipids that nourish the outermost cells, ensuring they remain pliant rather than brittle. Without this film, the shield would grow rigid, fissures would open, and the body would be left vulnerable. This balance is delicate. Too little oil, and dryness takes hold, leading to roughness and sensitivity. Too much, and the pores may clog, creating blemishes or irritation. The skin walks this line constantly, adjusting output according to hormones, environment, and age. In adolescence, sebaceous glands surge, leading to oily skin and often breakouts. In later years, the activity of these glands declines, and dryness becomes more common. Life stages are written not only in wrinkles and lines, but also in the shifting balance of oil and water across the skin. The role of moisture is equally critical. Skin is, in many ways, a water reservoir. The outermost layer, the stratum corneum, is like a sponge that holds hydration. When well balanced, it remains flexible, translucent, and smooth. When dehydrated, it becomes rough, dull, and prone to cracks. Each breath of air, each change of season, each shift in climate alters this reservoir, challenging the shield to adapt. Consider how sensitive this balance is to environment. In dry winter air, the skin loses water more quickly, leading to tightness. In humid summer air, it swells slightly, becoming softer. Long baths or harsh soaps can strip away the hydrolipid film, leaving the skin unprotected. Even emotions play a part, for stress hormones can alter oil production, tilting the balance one way or the other. And yet, for all this vulnerability, the skin is resilient. Given rest, hydration, and time, it rebuilds its film. Glands resume their work, water returns to the reservoir, the surface regains its suppleness. This renewal is constant, requiring no conscious effort, only the quiet rhythms of biology. The interplay of oil and water also gives skin its particular feel. The softness of a baby's cheek, rich in hydration and protected by active glands. The strength of an adult's hand, balanced between work, climate, and care. The fragility of aged skin, thinner and drier, yet still protective. Each stage has its texture, shaped by this invisible dialogue between sebum and moisture. It is striking to think that what we often notice only as shine, dryness, or comfort is, in fact, a delicate ecosystem in motion. Every droplet of oil, every molecule of water, plays a role in preserving the shield. Together they create a living varnish, a translucent coat that both protects and beautifies, sustaining resilience against the elements. Your skin, in its wisdom, knows how to maintain this equilibrium. It has done so since birth, and it will continue for as long as you live. Oil and moisture are not luxuries. They are the lifeblood of the shield's flexibility, the quiet guardians of its integrity. Though it may seem like a smooth, silent surface, the skin is alive with unseen companions. On every square centimeter dwell thousands of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, viruses, and even microscopic mites. Together they form the skin microbiome, a community as bustling and diverse as a rainforest, yet so small it remains invisible to the naked eye. For much of history, the presence of these tiny beings was unknown. Skin was thought to be sterile, or else vulnerable only when breached. Yet science has revealed a more subtle truth. The skin is never alone. Its shield is strengthened by its inhabitants. These organisms are not intruders to be eradicated, but tenants living in delicate balance with their host. Some bacteria on the skin produce molecules that discourage harmful species, competing for space and nutrients. Others break down oils, creating compounds that maintain the skin's natural acidity. Fungi, too, live in harmony, occupying niches where they help regulate the balance of microbes. Even viruses, often thought of only as threats, play quiet roles within this ecosystem, influencing the interactions of the larger community. This balance is personal. No two people carry the same microbial signature. The composition of the skin's microbiome depends on age, diet, environment, hygiene, and even the presence of pets. A hand that touches soil daily carries different organisms than one that spends most hours indoors. The microbiome of a newborn shifts dramatically after birth, shaped first by the skin of parents, then by air, food, and the embrace of the wider world. Each person becomes a landscape, seeded with life, evolving as circumstances change. When harmony is preserved, the microbiome is a silent ally. It educates the immune system, teaching it which signals should be ignored and which must be met with defense. It fills ecological niches, leaving little room for harmful invaders. It maintains the surface environment in ways we are only beginning to understand. But when the balance is disturbed by illness, antibiotics, harsh chemicals, or changes in climate, the shield can weaken. Conditions such as eczema, acne, or infections often arise not from a single invader, but from an imbalance in the community. What is humbling is the scale of it. Trillions of organisms live upon us, outnumbering our own cells. They are not separate from us, but part of us, woven into our biology. Without them, our skin would be more vulnerable, our defenses less wise. In caring for the skin, we are also tending this hidden forest, whether we realize it or not. Imagine your skin, then, not as a barren plain, but as a thriving meadow. Each pore, each ridge, each fold is home to life. Some organisms gather in the oily regions of the forehead, others prefer the dry plains of the forearm, still others thrive in the moist valleys between toes or underarms. Together, they create a patchwork of habitats, each unique, each alive with activity. The microbiome reminds us that the shield is not only human, it is a collaboration, a symbiosis. The boundary between self and other blurs, for we are both. Our skin is our own, yet it is also shared ground, alive with communities that protect us even as they depend on us. The living shield, then, is more than layers of cells, more than oil and water, more than nerves and blood. It is also an ecosystem, as rich and dynamic as any forest or reef, existing not beside us but upon us. And within this ecosystem, balance is health, harmony is strength. As daylight fades and the body prepares for night, the immune frontier of the skin does not sleep. In fact, it becomes more active. Hidden beneath the surface, the sentinels and patrols of the immune system increase their vigilance, taking advantage of the body's quiet hours to strengthen defenses and repair damage. Sleep is not only for the mind, it is a vital part of the skin's immune rhythm. Throughout the day, the skin is exposed to a constant stream of challenges. Ultraviolet light alters DNA, friction wears the surface, pollutants settle into pores, microbes test the barrier. The defenses respond continuously, but when the body slows and enters rest, the focus shifts from resisting to restoring. Circulation deepens, delivering oxygen and nutrients more steadily. Growth hormones rise, stimulating repair. Immune cells move with renewed energy, seeking out damaged areas, neutralizing threats, and preparing stronger barriers for the day ahead. Studies show that people who are deprived of sleep often experience weakened skin defenses. Small wounds close more slowly, inflammation lingers, infections become more likely. The shield, without its nocturnal renewal, cannot keep pace with the demands placed upon it. Conversely, restful sleep strengthens the barrier, thickening its layers, improving hydration, and enhancing its ability to ward off microbes. Night is, quite literally, when the skin rearms itself. The connection between rest and immunity is not only biological but rhythmic. Skin follows a circadian cycle, a daily pattern tied to the turning of the earth. During daylight, its focus is protection, guarding against sun, heat, and external forces. At night, its focus is healing, repairing DNA, replenishing moisture, and renewing immune strength. This cycle has been honed over millennia, aligning the shield with the dance of day and night. Even the skin microbiome participates in this rhythm. Certain bacteria flourish more at night, contributing to repair and balance, while others dominate during the day, when the surface is exposed to different conditions. The immune system adjusts accordingly, listening to the signals of these companions, responding to their shifts. What appears as simple sleep is, beneath the surface, an orchestrated collaboration between body, skin, and microbial allies. It is worth noting that the immune activity of the skin is not only defensive but also educative. During the quiet hours, immune cells process the encounters of the day, remembering the molecules they met, cataloging threats, and preparing faster responses for the future. Sleep, then, becomes not only a time of repair but of learning, a classroom in which the skin's defenses grow wiser. There is comfort in this. While you lie still, while your breath slows and the world recedes, your skin is at work, strengthening itself, rehearsing its defenses, and quietly ensuring that you remain protected. Even if sleep comes slowly, even if rest feels distant, the body begins this rhythm as soon as you allow yourself to be still. The shield does not wait. It begins the work of renewal as the night deepens. Your skin is not only your boundary, it is your guardian, your historian, your student. Each night, it reviews the story of the day, sealing wounds, balancing moisture, reinforcing barriers, and memorizing the signatures of intruders. And each morning, it presents itself renewed, carrying forward the quiet labor of the dark. The immune frontier never truly rests, but in the presence of sleep, it grows stronger, weaving resilience into your very surface. The living shield, always with you, is most powerful when the rhythms of day and night are honored, when protection and restoration balance one another. The skin is not static. Though it may appear constant when you look at your hand or your face, it is always in motion, always renewing. Beneath the surface, a quiet migration unfolds, a cycle in which cells are born, live, transform, and finally depart. Each cell completes this journey in about a month, though you rarely notice its passing. The story begins deep in the basal layer of the epidermis. Here, stem-like cells divide, producing new keratinocytes that will one day form the outer shield. These newborn cells are round, full of water and energy, pressed close together like seeds in fertile soil. Their task is simple: to grow, to rise, to take their place in the living barrier. Slowly, pushed upward by younger generations beneath them, these cells begin their ascent. As they rise, they change. They flatten, lose water, and fill with keratin, the tough protein that gives skin its resilience. Their nuclei fade, their machinery of life winds down, until they are no longer living in the usual sense but transformed into protective scales. By the time they reach the surface, they are armor rather than active cells, a layer of silent guardians forming the outermost shield. This process is called keratinization, and it is relentless. Even as millions of cells reach the end of their cycle and flake away as dust, millions more are beginning the same journey below. Each month, the surface you see is replaced. You are, quite literally, wearing a new skin over and over again, though you rarely notice the exchange. The scale of this renewal is vast. Scientists estimate that a person sheds around 500 million skin cells every day. They gather invisibly on clothing, drift into the air, settle as the fine dust that fills every home. In this way, you leave traces of yourself wherever you go, a quiet reminder that you are always changing, always renewing. And yet, for all their quietness, these cells are not wasted. Their constant departure is essential. Without shedding, the surface would grow thick and brittle, unable to sense or bend. By letting go of the old, the skin remains supple and responsive. Renewal is not only survival but vitality. This cycle also adapts. When the skin is injured, cells divide more quickly, rushing upward to close the wound. When friction is constant, the outer layer thickens, producing calluses that resist wear. When aging slows the cycle, renewal takes longer, and the surface becomes thinner, more fragile. The rhythm is never fixed but always responsive, tuned to the needs of the body and the demands of the world. There is something quietly poetic in this cycle of birth and shedding. Each cell, though microscopic, participates in a great migration, rising through layers of tissue, transforming along the way, giving itself finally to the service of the shield. It is a story of sacrifice as much as of survival. No cell remains forever. Each plays its part, then yields, making space for what is new. When you look at your skin now, you are seeing the end of thousands of these journeys. The outermost surface is made of cells that once lived below, that once divided and grew, that once held water and energy. They gave up their life to become your barrier, to stand guard for you. Tomorrow they will fall away, and new ones will rise to take their place. The skin's resilience lies not only in its toughness but in this endless rhythm of renewal. It does not cling to what is old, nor fear what must be shed. It allows change to be its strength. In every moment, your shield is both ancient and new. Ancient in design, new in material, always in motion, always alive. Skin is not the same from day to day. It responds constantly to the world around it, adapting to air, light, and climate. Just as landscapes change with the seasons, so too does the living shield alter its texture, color, and resilience according to the rhythms of the year. In winter, when the air grows cold and dry, the skin loses moisture more quickly. The hydrolipid film thins, the reservoir of water within the outer layer shrinks, and the surface becomes tight, sometimes rough or flaky. Cold air constricts blood vessels, reducing circulation near the surface, leaving the skin pale and less nourished. Indoors, heated air compounds the dryness, pulling moisture outward. The result is a season when the shield feels more fragile, more in need of care. Spring brings renewal. As air warms and humidity rises, the skin begins to soften. Circulation improves, color returns, and oils flow more freely. The surface seems to wake from its winter stillness, regaining flexibility and glow. Just as trees bud and rivers swell, the skin also responds, opening itself more readily to the changing environment. Summer places new demands upon the shield. The sun's light intensifies, sending ultraviolet rays deep into the epidermis. In response, melanocytes increase their production of pigment, darkening the skin to absorb and deflect harm. Sweat glands grow busier, releasing streams of moisture to regulate heat. Pores may open wider, the microbiome shifts with the moisture, and the shield takes on the work of cooling, defending, and adjusting all at once. It is a season of activity, when the skin is most engaged with the forces of the environment. Autumn arrives with gentler light but fluctuating air. Winds may dry the surface, while cooler nights begin the slow constriction of vessels once more. The skin shifts gradually, transitioning back toward the rhythms of winter. The balance of oil and moisture tilts again, and the shield prepares itself for the months ahead. These seasonal rhythms are not only physical but deeply ancient. Human skin evolved outdoors, exposed to cycles of light, temperature, and humidity. Though modern life offers clothing, shelter, and artificial climates, the skin still remembers the old rhythms. It still responds to the tilt of the earth, to the length of days, to the moisture in the air. Not all skins respond the same way. Some grow dry more easily, others oilier in heat. Some pigment more readily, others remain vulnerable to the sun's touch. Each person's shield carries its own sensitivities, shaped by ancestry, environment, and personal history, yet all respond to the seasons, even in subtle ways. It is worth noting how quickly the skin can adapt when the environment changes suddenly. A traveler moving from cold, dry air to a humid tropical climate may find their skin transformed within days, pores more active, oils more fluid, hydration levels rising. Likewise, a move to high altitude may dry the skin swiftly, calling for adjustments in care. The shield is not fixed, it is responsive, alive to the air it inhabits. This adaptability is part of its brilliance. Few materials can alter themselves so continuously, preserving function across such extremes. Leather cracks when dried, fabric wilts when soaked, metals corrode under sun and salt. Skin, however, holds steady, thickening, thinning, sweating, or pigmenting as needed. It is resilience woven into biology, a living material crafted by time. When you think of your skin now, you might see it not as a single surface, but as a landscape passing through seasons. Each day brings its own weather, and the shield responds in kind. It is a reminder that you are never separate from the world around you. You carry it with you, on your surface, written into the changing language of your skin. Time leaves its mark on all things, and the skin is no exception. From the moment of birth, the shield begins a long journey of change, adapting to the stages of life. At first it is soft and delicate, almost translucent, glowing with the abundance of water and the speed of renewal. In youth, cells divide quickly, collagen fibers are strong, and elastin keeps the surface firm and flexible. The skin rebounds easily, smooth and vibrant, as though time has little hold upon it. But as years pass, the cycle slows. The constant renewal of cells becomes more measured. The reservoir of water diminishes, and the supply of collagen gradually thins. Fine lines appear where the skin folds repeatedly, at the corners of the eyes, along the mouth, across the forehead. With time, these lines deepen, becoming the map of expression etched into the face. They are not only signs of aging, but records of life, carved by smiles, frowns, laughter, and thought. Beneath the surface, elastin fibers lose some of their spring. The skin no longer snaps back as easily after stretching. It begins to sag gently, following gravity's pull. The hypodermis also shifts, as fat pads that once cushioned and rounded the face redistribute or diminish. Contours change, softness yields to sharpness, and the shield takes on a new shape. The outermost layer also alters, renewal slows, leaving the surface thinner and more fragile. Wounds take longer to heal, bruises form more easily. Pigment cells, which once spread evenly, may cluster into age spots, recording years of sunlight upon the skin. Each mark, each change, is a trace of the passage of time and environment. Yet to see these changes only as loss is to miss their deeper meaning. Aging skin is not simply weaker, it is storied. Every line and crease is testimony to endurance. The wrinkles at the eyes are proof of laughter shared, the furrows at the brow evidence of thought and care. The surface becomes a visible archive, carrying the history of a life in patterns no two people share. There is also resilience in aging skin. Though slower to heal, it still repairs. Though thinner, it still protects. Its ability to adapt is not lost, only altered. Older skin may be more delicate, but it is not defeated. It continues to act as shield, messenger, and social organ, carrying out the same roles it has always performed, only with a different texture and tempo. Science now shows that much of what we call aging in the skin is a mixture of time and environment. Sunlight, pollution, and lifestyle choices accelerate the changes, while protection and care can slow them. The skin's appearance is therefore not only a story of years but also of experiences. Two people of the same age may carry very different maps, shaped by their unique exposures and choices. This understanding brings perspective. To see aging skin is to see life written openly. It is not failure, but fulfillment of a cycle, the natural outcome of decades of renewal, of countless cells born and shed, of barriers that have held fast against wind, water, sun, and touch. And so the living shield ages as we do, not in sudden leaps, but in steady rhythms. It grows with us, adapts with us, and ultimately tells our story in its own quiet language. To see the lines upon it is to see the passage of time, not as a theft, but as a record of survival, of resilience, and of life lived fully beneath the Sunday. Every wound tells a story, and the skin remembers it long after the moment has passed. A scar is the trace of that memory, a permanent mark left where the living shield was once breached. Unlike many organs, which heal invisibly, the skin often leaves a record on its surface, a testimony to both vulnerability and repair. The process begins the instant the skin is broken. Blood rushes to the site, clotting to form a temporary barrier against invasion. Beneath this cover, cells begin to work furiously. Fibroblasts in the dermis start producing collagen, weaving it quickly into a patch strong enough to close the wound. This is emergency work, focused on speed rather than elegance. The new tissue is dense, unstructured, without the delicate architecture of normal skin. As it hardens, a scar takes shape. Scars differ from the surrounding skin. They may be raised or sunken, pale or darker in color, smooth or ridged. They lack hair follicles, sweat glands, and much of the sensitivity of ordinary skin. In this sense, they are incomplete. Yet they are strong, often stronger than the skin they replace. They stand as durable seals, ensuring that what was once open is now closed. Each scar carries a memory of circumstance. The faint line on a child's knee from a fall on pavement, the mark from surgery, the small notch left by a childhood accident, all are reminders of moments when the shield was tested. Some scars are nearly invisible, blending with the surface until they are only felt in memory. Others are prominent, shaping not only the skin but also how the self is perceived. Cultures have long recognized the significance of scars. In some traditions, deliberate scarification has been used as art, identity, or rite of passage. In others, scars are seen as marks of bravery, survival, or experience. Whether sought or accidental, they remind us that life is not without danger, and that healing always comes at a cost. There is also a psychological dimension to scars. Some are cherished, seen as badges of endurance. Others are hidden, reminders of pain one might rather forget. Yet, even when unwanted, scars are proof of resilience. They say, here was an injury, and it was survived. The body did not yield. The shield rebuilt itself, even if the repair left a visible trace. Not all scars are visible on the surface. Stretch marks, for instance, arise when the skin grows faster than its fibers can stretch, leaving streaks that fade but rarely disappear. They are signs of growth, of change, pregnancy, adolescence, weight gained or lost. They speak of life in transition, of the body stretching to accommodate new demands. Even the absence of scars tells its own story. Some small wounds heal so completely they leave no mark at all, a reminder that the skin's capacity for renewal is great, even if not limitless. To touch a scar is to touch a memory. The surface may feel different, thicker or smoother, but beneath it lies the history of a moment when life demanded repair. In this way, scars remind us that healing is not about erasing but about continuing. The skin does not forget. It writes its experiences into its surface, carrying them forward as quiet records of survival. The living shield, then, is not flawless, nor does it pretend to be. It is marked, just as every life is marked. These traces are not failures but evidence that we endure, that we meet harm and continue onward. A scar is not the end of the shield, it is its promise fulfilled. To close, to guard, to survive. For thousands of years, people have chosen to mark their skin with color and design. Tattoos are one of humanity's oldest forms of expression, found on mummies, warriors, shamans, and travelers across cultures and centuries. They transform the surface of the shield into a canvas, carrying symbols of identity, memory, or belief. Yet, beneath the artistry lies a fascinating biological story: how the skin accepts ink, how it holds it, and how it weaves culture into its own living fabric. When a tattoo is made, ink is placed not on the surface, but just beneath it. Needles puncture the epidermis and deliver pigment into the dermis, the middle layer of skin. This placement is crucial. Cells of the epidermis are constantly renewed and shed. If ink were left there, it would fade within weeks. But the dermis is more stable. Its cells persist for years. Its collagen network holds form, and so the design endures. The body responds to the tattoo as it would to any foreign material. Immune cells rush to the site, attempting to engulf and remove the pigment particles. Some succeed, carrying fragments away, but many particles are too large, too insoluble, and so they remain trapped within dermal cells. Over time, when these cells die, the pigment is released and captured again by new immune cells, repeating the cycle. It is this endless passing of pigment from one cell to the next that allows tattoos to remain visible for decades. The colors we see are shaped not only by the ink itself but by the skin's structure. Light penetrates the surface, scatters among the pigment particles, and reflects back outward. Different pigments absorb and reflect different wavelengths, creating the rich palette of tattoo art. Black carbon particles appear bold and lasting, while colored inks may fade more quickly, altered by sunlight and the slow action of the immune system. Culturally, tattoos have carried many meanings. In some traditions, they marked rites of passage, signaling adulthood or belonging to a community. In others, they served as protection, with symbols believed to ward off harm or invite strength. Among sailors, tattoos recorded journeys and triumphs. Among shamans, they marked spiritual roles. Today, tattoos often tell personal stories: a name, a date, a symbol of remembrance, or simply art chosen for beauty. What unites all of these is the act of inscribing meaning onto the body itself. A tattoo cannot be lost or misplaced. It becomes part of the self, a permanent bond between memory and skin. It is both deeply personal and profoundly public, shown to the world yet carried within the body's own living material. There is also paradox here. The skin is designed to resist intrusion, to seal out foreign matter, and yet, with a tattoo, people willingly invite pigment past the surface, asking the shield to hold it in place. The body does not reject it outright but instead incorporates it, adjusting to the presence of something that does not belong, making it part of its own structure. In this way, tattoos reflect not only human creativity but also the adaptability of skin. The shield is not rigid but flexible, capable of hosting new meaning, new color, new stories. Each tattoo is a collaboration between human intent and biological process, between culture and physiology. To look at a tattoo is to see both art and science at once. It is a mark of choice, carried in a medium that is always alive, always renewing. The pigment endures, even as the cells that hold it are replaced again and again. The design is permanent, yet the skin itself is never still. The living shield, therefore, is not only a protector but also a storyteller. Through scars it records survival, and through tattoos it records meaning. Both remind us that skin is not blank, but a surface where life and memory meet, inscribed in ways that last as long as we do. When the body drifts into night, a quieter rhythm begins. The surface that faced sunlight, wind, and countless small abrasions during the day now turns inward, engaging in its most restorative work. Skin does not sleep as you do, it renews. And though this work is hidden from sight, it is as essential to survival as breathing. During rest, circulation through the dermis deepens. More blood, carrying oxygen and nutrients, flows toward the surface. Cells that have spent the day defending now switch their focus to repair. Fibroblasts spin collagen, weaving fibers to strengthen the fabric of the skin. DNA repair mechanisms, which identify and mend damage caused by ultraviolet light, become more active. Tiny breaks in protein chains, fragments from oxidative stress, subtle tears from daily wear, all are sought out and restored. Moisture balance, too, is recalibrated. The skin loses more water at night through transepidermal evaporation, but this very openness allows replenishment. It is why creams and ointments often prove more effective when applied before bed. The shield is more receptive, more permeable, more eager to absorb what will aid its renewal. By morning, the reservoir of hydration has been refreshed, the surface softened, the flexibility restored. There is also a rhythm to cellular growth. Keratinocytes, the cells that form the epidermis, divide more actively at night, producing new generations that will rise to the surface in the weeks to come. Antioxidant defenses are replenished, ensuring that tomorrow the skin can again withstand sunlight and pollution. The living shield is not passive in the dark, it is at its busiest. This nocturnal labor does more than mend the day's harm. It preserves the continuity of the shield. Without it, the surface would thin, wounds would linger, and defenses would falter. Sleep is not simply an escape from fatigue, it is an essential partner in the survival of the skin. Yet even if sleep is uneven, even if it comes slowly or is interrupted, the skin continues its work. The body seizes every quiet moment it can, turning it toward repair. A half hour of rest, a brief doze, even stillness without slumber, all can trigger the rhythms of renewal. The shield does not demand perfection, it simply uses what is given, mending where it can, strengthening in the time allowed. There is comfort in this constancy. While your mind may wander through dreams, or drift in the spaces between waking and sleep, the skin is steady, practical, devoted to its tasks. It has no concept of time but the cycle of day and night, no ambition but the preservation of balance. It works faithfully, stitching and sealing, so that when morning arrives, you are ready to meet the world again. Perhaps you have noticed how skin feels different after a good night's rest, the glow of the complexion, the smoothness of the surface, the lessening of tension in the face. These are not illusions but the visible signs of deep work completed while you lay still. The living shield carries out its renewal not for vanity but for endurance, ensuring the continuity of the barrier that has guarded you since birth. In this sense, the night is a kind of partnership. The world grows dark, the body slows, and within that pause the skin takes its turn. It rebuilds quietly, like a craftsman working in silence, leaving the results ready by dawn. You need not oversee it, need not direct it. You need only allow the rhythm to unfold. The shield, faithful and tireless, is always writing renewal into its surface. Each morning is evidence of this, a gentle reminder that even in stillness, much is happening beneath the skin. The principle of skin is not uniquely human. Across the vast diversity of life, every creature carries its own version of a shield, a covering that protects, adapts, and connects. To look beyond ourselves is to see how evolution has shaped this idea into countless forms. Scales, shells, feathers, fur, chitin, and more. Each is different, yet all serve the same essential purpose, guarding the vulnerable inner world against the challenges of the outer one. Consider the fish, whose scales shimmer in water. These overlapping plates are not just decoration, but armor crafted from bone or keratin, slicked with mucus that prevents infection and eases movement through currents. Amphibians, more delicate, breathe partly through their skins, which must remain moist, tethering them always to water. Reptiles refine the shield further, their scales thick and dry, allowing them to wander deserts and bask in sun without losing vital moisture. Each step in evolution is a different response to the same question: How do we endure at the boundary between self and world? Birds turn skin into feathers, perhaps the most extraordinary transformation of all. Feathers provide insulation, display, and the miracle of flight. They are modified skin structures, grown from follicles much like human hair, yet shaped into lightweight, aerodynamic marvels. A feather is not separate from the shield, it is an extension of it, an outgrowth that carries life upward into the sky. Mammals, including ourselves, chose fur as one of their primary adaptations. Hair grows from follicles across the body, varying in thickness, length, and density. For some mammals, fur is armor against cold, for others camouflage, for still others a means of communication, puffing up in aggression or flattening in submission. In humans, fur receded, leaving only traces, on the scalp for warmth, on the face and body for expression and subtle signaling. Yet the principle remains. Hair is skin extended outward, another variation on the theme of protection. Insects and crustaceans carry chitin, a hard outer layer that functions like a suit of armor. Unlike mammalian skin, theirs does not grow continuously but must be shed in molts. Each time, the creature emerges vulnerable until the new covering hardens. This rhythm of growth and vulnerability is another reminder that shields, however strong, are not static. They change with life's demands. Even the most alien-seeming coverings can be understood as skin transformed. The turtle's shell is an extension of its dermis, fused with bone. The scales of snakes gleam with keratin, flexible enough to allow slithering, yet strong enough to resist abrasion. The iridescent wings of butterflies are layered with scales, each reflecting light in dazzling color, a defensive and communicative tool grown directly from their living surfaces. To trace these variations is to see unity. Whether soft or hard, moist or dry, simple or elaborate, each skin is a boundary that defines life. Each version is tailored to its environment. The desert lizard's shield against dehydration, the penguin's dense feathers against polar chill, the beetle's shell against predators and storms. Human skin may seem modest by comparison, lacking scales, fur, or shells, but it is versatile, balancing many roles at once. It does not weigh us down or trap us in armor. Instead, it allows freedom of movement, fine sensation, and subtle communication. It may be less visibly dramatic than feathers or scales, but it is equally remarkable in its quiet adaptability. All skins, across all species, share the same purpose: to protect life at its edges. They are reminders that survival begins not only with what is inside, but with how that interior meets the world. In every creature, the living shield has been shaped anew, yet always to answer the same ancient question: how shall we endure where we touch the universe? Across the natural world, skin has never been limited to protection alone. Evolution, ever inventive, has turned the living shield into a tool of survival strategies as diverse as the creatures that carry them. Some animals use their skin to vanish, blending seamlessly into their surroundings. Others transform it into warning signs, dazzling colors, or even weapons. To study these strategies is to see how versatile a boundary can be, how life sculpts survival into the very surface of its being. Camouflage is perhaps the most striking. The cuttlefish, master of disguise, carries skin lined with chromatophores, specialized cells filled with pigments. By expanding or contracting these cells, the animal changes color in an instant, vanishing into sand, coral, or shadow. The chameleon achieves a similar feat, shifting hues not only to hide but also to signal mood, temperature, or social status. These transformations are not simple coatings of color. They are controlled by nerves and hormones, responses as dynamic as thought itself. The skin becomes a living canvas, always rewriting its own appearance. Other animals use skin not to hide but to display. The brilliant feathers of a peacock, the radiant scales of tropical fish, the striking stripes of a zebra, all are signals written on the shield. They may attract mates, confuse predators, or strengthen bonds within a group. The shield here is both armor and language, communicating survival messages without sound. Some skins defend chemically. Amphibians, for instance, secrete toxins through their moist surfaces, discouraging predators from taking a bite. The poison dart frog is famous for carrying alkaloids in its skin, potent enough to harm much larger creatures. Its vivid colors serve as a warning, a message written in bright pigment: danger lives here, leave me be. Other species use milder versions, bitter tastes, irritants, or scents, to achieve the same effect. Texture, too, becomes a strategy. Porcupines turn their skin into quills, sharp extensions that pierce any attacker who ventures too close. Armadillos harden theirs into armor plates, rolling into protective spheres when threatened. Pangolins, with overlapping keratin scales, curl tightly to transform soft bodies into nearly impenetrable balls. Each adaptation is a reminder that skin can be both shield and weapon, defensive wall and active deterrent. Humans share echoes of these strategies, though in subtler ways. Our skin can darken in sunlight, creating a temporary layer of pigment as a form of camouflage against ultraviolet rays. We flush or pale in emotional moments, signaling states to others as surely as the color shifts of chameleons. Sweat carries chemical messages that may communicate fear or attraction, influencing those nearby without a word. Though we no longer grow quills or secrete toxins, our skin still speaks, still adapts, still defends. What unites all these strategies is creativity. Evolution did not simply invent a shield and leave it static. It has reshaped skin into tools of deception, warning, attraction, and defense. The same principle, protect life at the boundary, has been rewritten into countless variations, each suited to its bearer's needs. To imagine the diversity is to see life's ingenuity: a lizard flattening its body to mimic a leaf, a moth with wings patterned like eyes, startling predators into hesitation, a fish with skin that glows in the deep sea, using bioluminescence to lure prey or communicate with its kind. All of this, on the surface of the body, all of this woven into the living shield. The strategies remind us that skin is not only about holding the self in, it is about engaging with the world outside. It is both barrier and performance, protection and display. In every corner of nature, survival is written on the skin, in colors, textures, chemicals, and forms. For all its resilience, the skin can be wounded in ways that overwhelm its power to heal. Severe burns, deep injuries, chronic conditions, these can strip away the barrier that guards the body, leaving it exposed and fragile. In these moments, medicine turns to an extraordinary challenge: how to recreate, even partially, the living shield that evolution has shaped so perfectly. Artificial skin began as a dream, the hope of offering protection to those whose own barrier was lost. Early attempts were simple, using dressings to cover wounds and prevent infection. Yet scientists and physicians soon realized that skin is more than a covering. It breathes, senses, regulates moisture, communicates with the immune system. To replace it is to attempt a masterpiece, not merely a fabric. Modern artificial skin comes in many forms. Some are temporary dressings made from synthetic polymers or natural materials, designed to mimic the outer surface and provide a safe environment while the body repairs itself beneath. Others are bioengineered, crafted from living cells grown in laboratories, seeded onto scaffolds that resemble the dermis and epidermis. These constructs can integrate with the patient's body, becoming not just cover but living tissue. One of the breakthroughs has been the use of fibroblasts and keratinocytes, the very cells that form natural skin. When cultivated and layered correctly, they produce collagen, form structures, and begin to behave like the body's own tissue. This living substitute does not perfectly match natural skin, but it closes wounds, restores some function, and buys time for deeper healing. Artificial skins have also been designed to deliver more than coverage. Some release antibiotics to fight infection, others maintain moisture at precisely the right level, accelerating repair. Some are transparent, allowing doctors to observe healing without removing the dressing. In this way, technology does not only imitate nature but also augments it, adding features that the original shield did not carry. Beyond medicine, researchers imagine future skins that could extend human abilities. Flexible electronic skins are being developed, capable of sensing pressure, heat, or chemical changes and transmitting data. These could restore touch to prosthetic limbs, allowing people to feel again through artificial hands. They might one day monitor hydration, glucose levels, or even emotional states, turning the skin into a living interface between body and technology. And yet, for all these marvels, artificial skin remains only an echo of the real thing. The living shield is astonishingly complex, with trillions of cells, constant renewal, a microbiome in balance, and a dialogue with the immune system that no laboratory has yet fully reproduced. Artificial versions are bridges, supports, and sometimes lifesavers, but they remind us too of the sophistication of what we already carry. There is something humbling in this pursuit. To recreate skin is not to design from scratch, but to follow a blueprint written by nature across millions of years. Each advance in synthetic coverings is a gesture of respect toward the original, an acknowledgement of its brilliance. When a patient with severe burns receives grafts or artificial skin, it is not only a medical procedure, it is a restoration of boundary, a return of protection, a gift of survival. These efforts testify to the central truth of the shield. Without it, life cannot continue. With it, even in altered form, life endures. The living shield has inspired us to learn, to imitate, to push technology forward. Artificial skin is not a replacement but a reminder of how precious the real shield is, and how remarkable it remains that every one of us carries it, silently, every moment of our lives. The skin is not only biological, it is cultural. Across history and geography, humans have treated the surface of the body as a canvas of meaning. It has been painted, pierced, scarred, veiled, revealed, and celebrated. The living shield, though primarily a guardian of life, has also become a field where identity, belonging, and beauty are written. In ancient Egypt, skin was adorned with pigments and oils. Kohl lined the eyes, ochre tinted the lips, and fragrant balms softened the surface. These practices were not merely decorative, they carried spiritual significance, marking devotion, protection, and social status. In India, henna has been used for centuries to create intricate patterns on hands and feet, designs that fade but never lose their symbolic richness. In many indigenous cultures, skin markings became rites of passage. Tattoos and scarification were not only personal expressions but communal declarations of adulthood, of courage, of belonging to a tribe. In Polynesia, elaborate tattoos told stories of ancestry and status, turning the shield into a living record of history. In West Africa, scar patterns served as both art and identity, a permanent statement written into the flesh. Clothing, too, has always been tied to skin. What we cover, what we reveal, how we protect the surface, all are shaped by culture as much as by climate. In some traditions, modesty meant concealing the skin almost entirely, while in others, adornment emphasized its exposure. Fabrics, dyes, and ornaments became extensions of the shield, signaling wealth, role, or faith. Even the care of skin reflects cultural meaning. In some societies, pale skin was long associated with status, a sign of freedom from outdoor labor. In others, a bronzed glow came to symbolize health, vitality, and leisure. What is considered beautiful or desirable shifts over time, but always it is written on the same surface, the living boundary of the body. Piercings, jewelry, and paints extend this language. Rings through ears, noses, or lips, pigments applied in bright colors or subtle shades, gold and silver pressed against the surface, all are gestures of meaning. They may signify belonging, defiance, devotion, or simply the desire to decorate. Each is an acknowledgement that skin is not invisible, but central to how we present ourselves to the world. At times, the cultural weight of skin has also been heavy. Skin color itself, a biological variation meant only to balance sunlight and protection, has been twisted into hierarchies of prejudice and exclusion. This distortion of meaning shows how powerful the surface can be, how it shapes perceptions, identities, and relationships in ways far beyond biology. Yet even in this, the skin remains neutral, carrying pigment as adaptation, not as judgment. The meanings attached to it are human inventions, not truths written in the tissue. In the modern world, the cultural language of skin continues to evolve. Cosmetics, skincare rituals, and surgical alterations reflect desires for youth, individuality, or conformity. At the same time, movements that celebrate natural skin, freckles, scars, vitiligo, wrinkles, remind us that the surface carries authenticity, that the story it tells is part of our shared humanity. What is constant across all these variations is the recognition that skin is never only a barrier. It is also a symbol, a message, a connection. It is the first thing others see, the first point of contact, the first impression. To alter it, decorate it, or simply reveal it is to speak in a language that needs no translation. The cultural skin is thus layered over the biological one, not in opposition but in harmony. Where nature gives us protection, culture gives us meaning. Together, they remind us that the living shield is both private and public, both deeply personal and profoundly social. To consider the skin deeply is to encounter philosophy. It is not only a material covering but a frontier of meaning. It defines where the body ends and the world begins, where self and other meet. In this way, the living shield is not merely protective but existential. It shapes what it means to be an individual in a shared world. The skin is the line of separation. It encloses organs, fluids, and thoughts, marking a boundary that keeps the self distinct. Without it, there would be no clear division between what is inside and what is outside. The skin draws that line each moment, silently reminding us, here I am, and beyond this surface, there is the world. And yet, paradoxically, the skin is also the point of connection. It is through skin that we touch, that we feel warmth, that we receive the presence of another. The same surface that divides also joins. It is barrier and bridge, enclosure and openness. This dual nature makes it more than tissue. It makes it a metaphor for life itself, always balancing the tension between solitude and relationship. Philosophers and poets have often reflected on this paradox. Some describe the skin as the veil of the soul, a surface that hides the inner self, while at the same time revealing it through color, texture, and expression. Others see it as a map of identity, carrying not only physical marks but also the cultural inscriptions of race, age, and beauty. Skin is the visible self, the face we offer to others, whether we intend it or not. It is striking to realize how much of human interaction depends on this boundary. A handshake, a caress, a shiver, a blush, all arise from the surface. Even recognition is shaped by skin, for it is the skin of the face that carries individuality, the pattern that distinguishes one person from another. To look at another is to read their skin, consciously or unconsciously, as a record of life, health, and emotion. The philosophy of skin also touches on vulnerability. Because the shield is visible, it is exposed to judgment, interpretation, even harm. Scars, wrinkles, blemishes, and tones become symbols, sometimes celebrated, sometimes misunderstood. The skin reveals what we may not wish to show: our age, our fatigue, our ancestry, our state of health. To live in skin is to accept that the self is never completely hidden, that some truth of us is always visible. At the same time, skin grants power. Through choice, decoration, clothing, care, or display, we shape how others see us. We alter the message of the shield, turning it into an expression of identity. Whether by painting, piercing, or simply revealing, we use the surface to speak without words. The skin becomes an instrument of will, a way of participating in the ongoing dialogue between self and world. Perhaps most profoundly, the skin teaches impermanence. It renews constantly, shedding its outermost cells, replacing them with new ones. It carries scars of what has been, lines of time, marks of experience, yet it never remains exactly the same. In this way, the skin reminds us that identity is also fluid, never fixed, always being rewritten. We are stable and changing at once, much like the surface that encloses us. To reflect on the living shield is to realize that it is both the simplest and the most profound of our features. It is ordinary, taken for granted, and yet it is the foundation of our experience. It is what allows us to say, "This is me," while also allowing us to reach outward and touch. This is you. It is at once a border and an invitation, the line that holds us separate and the surface that joins us together. From the first breath to the last, the skin has stood with you. It has been shield and messenger, archive and canvas, frontier and bridge. Quietly, without asking for notice, it has carried out its work, guarding against the sun, against the wind, against the invisible world of microbes, against the abrasions of life itself. It has done so while allowing you to feel the warmth of a hand, the coolness of rain, the brush of fabric, the presence of another. It has always been both protection and connection, a paradox woven into every layer. To think of the living shield is to see how inseparable it is from identity. You are not simply within it, you are shaped by it. The lines and marks on its surface tell the story of your encounters with the world. Its color and tone speak of ancestry, adaptation, and environment. Its scars carry memory, its wrinkles hold time. Every cell, every pore, every fold is both biology and biography. Yet the skin is also more than a record. It is dynamic, forever changing. It sheds and renews, it heals and adapts, it reshapes itself to meet the demands of the moment. This rhythm of loss and renewal is not weakness but strength. It shows that survival does not come from clinging to what has been, but from letting go, making space for what is new. The skin embodies resilience through change. We have seen how it protects, sealing in what must remain, keeping out what must not enter, calling immune sentinels to the frontier when needed. We have seen how it speaks, flushing with embarrassment, paling with fear, rising with goosebumps, sweating with effort or emotion. We have seen how it carries culture, painted, tattooed, clothed, adorned. We have seen how it links to the mind, stressed and calmed, irritated and soothed, always in dialogue with thought and feeling. The skin is, in truth, the meeting place between self and universe. Every breeze, every sunbeam, every drop of rain, every touch is received here first. The world impresses itself upon your surface, and your surface, in turn, responds with sensation, signal, and meaning. To live in skin is to live in constant exchange, never separate, always in relationship. Even technology, striving to replicate this marvel, reveals its brilliance. Artificial skins can cover wounds, restore function, even imagine futures of sensing and data, yet none have matched the natural shield in its elegance, its integration, its living intelligence. The fact that we try is itself a testament to what skin already is, a masterpiece so ordinary we overlook it, so essential we cannot live without it. To reflect on skin is to reflect on life itself. It teaches balance between inside and outside, between defense and openness, between what endures and what must change. It teaches humility, reminding us that we are ecosystems, hosts to trillions of tiny lives that protect and shape us. It teaches connection, showing us that even the smallest touch can bridge the distance between one being and another. And so, as we close this long meditation, the shield is no longer only biology. It is metaphor, memory, philosophy, and presence. It is the quiet companion that has guarded you since your first breath, and it will remain with you until your last. It is your first defense, your most honest storyteller, and your most constant companion. We from Sleeping with Science wish you a good night.